Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all.
Hello everybody and welcome to Nimby tutorial number 6. Today we're going to be looking at lines, trains and timetabling. I'll put the timestamps in the description for the different parts of this video, but first of all we're going to be looking at depots, because depots have changed with the new update. Okay, so in order to take a look at the depots and how they have changed, I'm going to hop onto my pre 1.4 save, which is quite giant, admittedly. Can't see off the track. There you go, there's the rest of the track. We need to head over to a depot. I don't know if I've got any in this save, which is the main issue. Ah, here we are. These depots don't work. They're just buildings down track. They don't do anything. So if you have a depot like this, you've got to delete it. And I will show you, first of all, before we get on to the main bits, how to build a depot in 1.5. But if I just delete it, this is just a bit of track. Doesn't quite work, unfortunately. I don't appear to have any trains, which is slightly concerning, but that's not the point. So, if we hop onto a new save, we'll go for this one, Painful Society, and I head over to up at, say, we'll use Amersham as an example for like building a depot. Actually no, we'll use Chalfont and Latimer area. Yeah. What we need to do is we just need to build stations, effectively. If I make sure to get it in the fourth rail underground style. All we do is station. That's a depot for 2 trains. I'm going to move it over here because I'm being fussy, but that will be a depot that can store 2 trains. Now what I'm going to do is copy and paste it. And really what you want to do is you just want to keep lining them up next to each other. I sort of messed that up. Like that. Now at this point, I'm going to copy it again. Keep copying, pasting. And that's just, these are just station platforms. Now you can't see that they're station platforms because you've not got any buildings on them, but they are just stations. And what we'll do is we'll build a line off the main line, and we've got to connect it up to every single one of these, all the way up to like up there. That is quite terrible, mind. We'll do it is run it along there, then round. Let's pop this in quick time lapse. Okay, so we've built the depot, we've connected it up successfully to the main line. We also need to do a junction across so it can get to the other line. There we go. We can now build our blueprints, right? That's just built everything I've built. And everything. So. Now we need to signal the depot. And all you gotta do is put a signal on the end of each station. Make sure they all face towards the depot, like that. Then just sort of leave it and like just put the signals where they are meant to be on the main line. Now what I will ask is please ignore the area, what I've built, how I'm building it. Please don't criticise me on that. This is my own save. Let me build the Met line how I want. But let's use that for example. That's decent signalling. You might also want to put a direction arrow there and there. But really what that should do is that should allow one train at a time to enter the depot and then one train at a time out. But we're not done quite with the depot before we can get onto the lines. First of all, we need to rename it to a depot name. So Chalfont Depot we'll call it. The other thing you need to do is, that bit I'm fussy about, but you need to put the area to 0. You don't want people to be coming to that station trying to get on the train. So if you put the area to 0, 0 people will come and try and board your train there. And we'll be using this depot in the rest of this video. Okay, so I've quickly gone in and signalled a little bit of this so we can use a line from Amersham to Watford as a rough example. So what you're going to do is you're going to open the Lines tab. Now at the bottom we've got a bunch of different menus. You've got create new line, create a new depot line, which we'll get onto afterwards, clone selected line, which can be quite handy if you're doing two lines that are decently similar, perhaps at different intervals, or one's extends further than the other, say. Intervene all trains currently running on the line. That is really ideal for when you change the service pattern, as they'll start flashing at you and get annoyed if you don't intervene it if you start editing the timetable. Delete selected line, and pan and zoom when selecting a line or station. That's toggleable, so it just means when you select a line you'll zoom in on it rather than staying where you are. For this we're going to just create a new line. So first thing you're going to get is name. We're going to call this Amersham to Watford line. You can name them methodically, say. We're going to call this Amersham to Watford, I guess, for the code. I'd recommend putting in, if you're doing like a UK build, say, put the two head codes, put the two station codes, sorry, and just a dash in the middle. Next up, price. I recommend something around £1, 2p. And then colour. You can be fussy, you can have any colour you want. We're going to go for a nice metropolitan purple, like about there. And I'm actually going to call this AME to WAT. And the surface level, just leave it at close for now. Tags we're going to ignore because they don't really affect us. Default timings, cruise speed, just leave it at auto. Default stop time, I recommend about 30 seconds, because that means if the train's a bit late, they can make up a bit of time doing like 10-second stop time instead. Whereas if you have like a 10-second stop time, it will never be able to make up time because it will always have to stop for 10 seconds. Line duration, I recommend custom, so you can work it around a set number of trains running at a set interval. But we'll deal with that bit afterwards, and then the extra stop times manually picked stops, because yes. First train departure, time zone, leave that. First train departure can be at whatever time you want, but this won't be important when we start timetabling. It won't do anything. And then launch trains on a fixed manual interval, and we're going to have it every 20 minutes for our service. So that's going to be the interval, that's going to be the frequency of the service. Next up, we're going to close these and we're going to actually build the line. Building the line itself is quite important. So we're going to come up to the first station, which is Amersham. Now Amersham has two different platforms we can use. Just go rename it quickly. So we'll select one of the platforms, But then we'll come down here. So we've got timing, leg timing, cruise speed, and effective timing. This isn't too relevant, unfortunately. Stop 1 though. Stop time, you can add or subtract time, but normally I'd recommend doing that once you've built everything so you can get it to that manual interval. Custom wait duration. Don't do that yet. Secondary platform signal is what we want. And we're going to select this signal that's coming into Amersham. And that's going to be the signal where, if say one of our platforms isn't free, the train will then go into the other platform. And we'll just select the other platform as a secondary platform. Now we can go and add all the rest of the stops. So Little Chow font, Chorleywood, Rickmansworth, Croxley, and Watford. And then back in the other direction. Croxley, Rickmansworth, Chorleywood, and Little Chow font. Now, in this circumstance, there are no other stations on this route that we can use multiple different platforms for, but there might be for you. In that case, again, you just go through the same process of setting a secondary platform signal of the approaching signal, and then doing it from there. Now we've got this, we need to buy a train. And we're just going to buy one train for now, because that can help us to gauge how many trains we're going to need. So this is the trains menu. This one's purchase new trains, and this is list trains that you already have. And then you can edit them, timetable them, etc., which we'll do later. We are going to scroll all the way down. They'll be out in alphabetical order unless you change it. And we're going to scroll down to L, London Underground S8, that's what I want. And we're just going to buy one for that line. Now you can buy the train by clicking down here, or you can go into the trains tab, but then it won't be automatically set for this line. You can also add waypoints to your line if the train doesn't go in the direction you want it to go between two stations. Say if you've got a train that's going direct from Kennington to Camden Town on the Northern Line, for example, and it's going via the Charing Cross branch, but you want it to be going via the Bank branch, you just find a waypoint, you find a bit of the track on the Bank branch and select it, and then it will go in that direction. And make sure it goes past that waypoint in that direction between those two stations you've selected it at. And you can also create a new line service. I don't understand that, I'm not going to get into that, therefore. But we can now see that up here, 31 minutes and 9 seconds is how long our route takes us. And if we want it to be every 20 minutes, we're going to have to get 59 more seconds on there, and then we've got something that works really well. We've got 40-minute route with the train every 20 minutes. And what you ideally want is for the time to be a multiple of the manual interval. So 20 times 2 is 40. So that works really nicely. So what we can do is we can add on, say, make this 1 minute. And then we need to add on an extra 21 seconds to here. So that should be 51. And now it's 32. Oh, apologies. It's 9 minutes. That's completely my miscalculation. So we'll add them mostly on at the terminals because it's a bit more realistic. So we'll put 5 minutes at Amersham. We then need about 4 minutes here, so I'm just going to put it in 4. And then 39, 49, 59, 51. And it's just doing those little calculations to get the time perfectly is really good. So we've now got a nice loop. It takes 40 minutes with 20-minute intervals. That means we need a second train. You can work out the number of trains by doing the time divided by the interval, which is really handy. And you can make sure that, say, 40 is a multiple of 20 by doing that as well. As long as you get a positive integer, that's fine. You've done it perfectly. Now what we're going to do is make the costume duration 40, just to ensure that we can't change it at all for now. That's all good. We can now set the service level to passenger service if we want to. And you can see it's created its own timetable. And that's because the trains currently are not mothballed, they are automatically running this line. And that's what's created this timetable. But if we don't want this timetable, what we can do is we can come into the trains tab and come on the list of trains, and under our Amersham to Watford line there should be these two trains. These two have their own timetable, and what you can then do is you could do manual orders, and now we can make it go to the depot as well. This is where we're starting the timetabling bit. You've opened up your timetable, you've selected one of your trains, and you've switched it to manual orders on under orders, and you've set the first line time zone will be fine. You want to come down to the bottom and append a new order. This is going to be you starting that line. And you're going to select the first stop when it comes out of the depot. That's Little Chalfont. And we want it in the direction of Amersham, so we're going to select the bottom one. Our last stop also needs to be Little Chalfont, but in the direction of Chorley Wood, because that's the last station it's going to pass through before returning back into the depot. So that automatically means when we set the train to do something else afterwards, it will make sure that that station is the last station. Pause it. Now, we're going to set this for Monday to Saturday. So these represents the days. MOTUWETHFRSA and SU. Monday to Sunday. And we're going to start at 6 o'clock. So we're going to type in 6 o'clock and loop until next order is fine. Now we're going to do the same thing with a new order on a Sunday, but we're going to start it at 6:30 instead. No, actually 6:20, because it makes it a bit more of a round number. That's more ideal. Like that. Now what we're going to do is, this one's a very compact timetable because there's a lot of different opportunities for trains. We're going to come down to the 23:20 start. And that will be at Packet Little Chalfont at midnight. But we're actually going to need this Little Chalfont, so we're going to have 23. We want to make sure it's slightly past this leaving time, so 23:32. 23:32 should be good. 23:32 ... Monday to Saturday, because they're all at the same time. And for this next bit, we need to create a depot line. So we come in here, we create a new depot line and stops. We're just going to make it white, and we're going to call it Chalfont Depot. And we're going to use what we did earlier with the primary and secondary platforms. We're going to click that first, then we're going to select any platform here, do a secondary platform off of this here signal, and select every other one here. There we go. Mishmash order, but should be fine. That means that instead of just one train being able to go into this platform, if there's a train in this platform already, it can go into a different platform. And notice how I'm referring to them as platforms, as they do work like stations. They are stations, effectively. So, now we've done that line, all we have to do is set the first station to Little Chalfont, and the last station to Chalfont Depot, and boom, Actually, the one thing that I did forget is the exit actually needs to be Amersham, so then the first stop on the next route can be Little Chalfont. So we're just going to, oh, apologies, Amersham, change that order as well. So that has, oh god, I've changed the wrong one. So U, and then that's fine. So that should be fine. We'll then use this one here. So we'll use 2330. Hopefully it'll work. If not, we'll need to make it a bit later. 2330. Monday to Saturday. On Chalfont Depot. First station, Little Chalfont. Chalfont Depot. Append that in your order. That's perfect, except for the train's currently only stopping at Little Chalfont for 30 seconds and then at the depot for 30 seconds. Now that's not quite going to work, so we need to make a crazy long stop time of about 5 hours. And as long as it's stopping for more than that stopped for, I believe it is less than that stop time, it's fine. But if it's longer than that stop time, it'll have to do another loop around, and if it's too short, it won't like you at all. But 5 hours should be fine, because you're going from about 23, 26 until about 6 o'clock. Actually no, it's if it's double that it'll throw a paddy, so we'll be fine. So now, we started 20 minutes later on a Sunday, so we can end just 20 minutes later. Or we can end earlier. We're going to end 20 minutes earlier. In fact, we're going to end at the same time, because it's a loop of 20 minutes, isn't it? So what we could just do is we can just change that to a Sunday as well. And that train should work properly. And now what we're going to do is we're going to select all the orders, we're going to copy them, we're going to paste them onto this train, and actually no, I messed up, because this does have to be 20 minutes one way, so it'll be 23:10. No, 23:30, and then append new order, 23:10, Sunday. There. Okay. Copy them. Delete them. Delete them. Delete them. Paste them. And now we're just going to make them all 20 minutes later. So 6:20, 23:50, 6:40, and then 23:30. There we go. Now, let's give that a trial run. Should work perfectly fine. And they'll just spawn roughly where they need to be at this time of day. They'll start perfectly on schedule. How long's the stop at Watford? Oh. So no, actually that 4:51's meant to be at Watford. And now they're doing what I said they'd do. They're throwing a paddy, because what we've done is we've changed the timetable while they're in service. So this is where we're going to go onto the line and issuing intervene to them both. Now at this instance, they're going to wait at Amersham for quite a while at the end of the day because they don't like it. But that's not going to be a problem, because we've got 2 platforms, so we can stable the trains both in there. And at this point I can't go back and edit the timetable very easily. But they're just going to do that. They're not going to interfere with anything by doing that. And I hope I haven't made it too confusing. I hope you found this video possibly slightly useful with the timetable, with the timetabling and everything. And the final one, number 7, will be coming out in 2 weeks' time. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you.